But I will go back to the question since you partially answered it. For someone feeling overwhelmed by their business data, what's the first question that they should ask themselves? And what baseline metrics should they establish before comparing channel performance?
Would just say go look at your source medium. Like in non-techie terms, go look at what platforms are driving traffic to you and how. And
Mhm.
it's going to be ads, search engines, email, or socials to start with. And then you're going to have a big bucket of direct traffic. It'll be direct. And that's the one that's either people know about you or Google didn't know where to put it. So there's other techniques, there's other things you can do to kind of bring clarity to that. But really, just start with looking at, it's like go look at how much traffic you have because everybody wants to know that. But really the more important one is what is that distribution? Look at that. And even as a cheat, take a look at that and ask yourself, is this the distribution that I want? So for example, if you've been paying ads, you've been doing ads and your SEO is outperforming your ads, you've got a real bust there.
Mm.
Or a lot of people go in and they're super surprised to see how well their SEO is working because that is a significant channel that's coming in. But if you go and look at that and say, is this the distribution that I want?
Mhm.
That will then, it's going to automatically lead to the next question is, what do I want it to be? And from
Yes.
there, now you're starting to build out, where am I going to put my efforts?
Mhm.
Based on things. Or flip side, it's not what I wanted it to be. I've been doing a lot on SEO or I'm doing a lot of ads and it's not performing. Then you can go back and say, okay, what am I going to do to fix this? Or am I going to shift strategies? But again, it's easy to see how those questions snowball, but they direct what you're doing rather than having to do everything, um, or do nothing at all. You have direction on where you want to put your efforts.
Got it. Okay. Well, now let's go back into that for a moment because you covered some things where, like you just mentioned, someone can be doing paid ads and then realizing that SEO is actually performing better. Let's drill that down even more. One of the things that I realize is a lot of people are doing paid ads so that they can learn who their audience is, but they're not necessarily doing anything with that information to be able to increase their SEO, which they might not be putting the same level of budget in, but it could be getting them organic leads. So they're renting an audience and not knowing that well, it's not that they don't know. Sometimes they just know that that's the way that's generating revenue, but it could be something that you're paying to get the reaction that you're getting, but you're also getting that same type of reaction for free through SEO, through your other efforts. So when you mentioned paid ads versus SEO and knowing what you're looking at and asking those initial questions, I think it's really important to be able to understand what it is that you're looking for. Because sometimes people will put things in front of you and you'll say, okay, well, I don't really know where to start. So understanding that baseline of where is everything coming in from? Where are you seeing the bulk of the sales or the bulk of traffic or the bulk of whatever it is that you're looking for? Like this is what you're getting the most return on with your effort. And then I would say one of the follow-up questions is, are these the people that I want to be able to do business with for the next year, 5 years,
Yep.
10 years?
Exactly. And if the answer is no, then you know that you've got some shifting to do. If it's yes, I want to do more of it. I also want to mention, we've talked a lot about the analytics GA4 part. So I wanted to mention two things. One is these same concepts apply to any, like if somebody's not using GA4, they're using another
Mhm.
analytics
Google
tool.
Analytics, yes.
Um, if they're using some other tool, the same framework works in whatever
Mhm.
tool that you're using. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is the often forgotten, but my favorite tool, Google Search Console, for the folks who are focusing on organic SEO. Google Search Console is really good, again, because you mentioned it. It's really good at being able to identify what Google thinks your website is all about
Mhm.
by the search phrases it shows your websites for. That's probably a really big sentence, but the key part there is Google Analytics tracks people on your website. Google Search Console gives you some insights into people's problems, what they're searching for, even if they don't hit your website. And it gives you insights as to what Google thinks your business is about by where it's what it's presenting you for in the search results. So again,
I want you to say that again
oh gee, I don't know.
because I do not want that to get lost. Google Console is going to be able to
Tell you what Google Search Console tells you what Google thinks what you do, who you serve, and what you offer.
perception.
The perception, Google's perception of your business based on what search terms it shows your websites for in the search results. So I'll give you an example of this to make it a little bit clearer. I was working with a client who was a parenting coach, and they wanted to work with parents with older children and older children into teens.
Okay.
Google Search Console was showing us that it was basically saying, I'm showing your website for parenting related stuff for infants and toddlers. So it was like, but I want to do older kids and teens. It's like, yeah, that's not what Google thinks your website's about. So they went and did some SEO work on their site. 6 months, I think it was 6 or 9 months later, we came back and now we could see that Google was showing their website for more parent coaching stuff related for older kids and teens. Google was
Got it.
starting to understand this is who you serve. So there you could definitely see that shift there. So there's a lot of power in Google Search Console. And again, that includes information before they even get to your website. So you get insights into people's problems, how they're searching for it. Are they, again, you went back to, is this the audience I'm looking for? Do I want more of it? Do I need to shift it? Things like that. So in my mind, in terms of measurement and analytics, Google Search Console is also part of that overall picture because it's telling you more about your business and is it aligned with what? Because if Google thinks one thing,
Mhm.
visitors to your website are going to think similar things.
Yes. Now, I had so many follow-ups, but I'm going to focus on the one that I think consumers would want to know the answer to based on you just explaining it the way that you did. Where can they find people that are concentrating on Google Search Console so that they can get this information and start learning how to be able to use it? Is it something that they can do themselves and be able to figure out, or is it something where they should look for a specific type of person that can break down the things that you just broke down?
It's some it's something if they're kind of data nerdy-ish or whatever,
Mhm.
it's something that they could do themselves. And I want to say most SEO people would be able to do this, but I actually would say maybe not. And SEO would be the next likely person to
Okay.
go in and look at this stuff. But I also know from my business analyst background and that's a lens that I go in and look at the data with. So not necessarily every SEO will take that approach that we do.
No, and I think you're being very diplomatic and very polite about the way that you're going about answering that question. I will say outright, I work with a lot of different businesses that are paying for SEO, and that is not part of the scope of work that they're getting. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be able to highlight that. There are people that are saying that they're doing SEO and they're basically just paying for positioning, but they're not giving you the answers to how Google perceives you and how Google thinks your audience perceives you. And if you can't control the narrative of that perception, then you could be putting a lot of money into something where they're talking about infants and you're looking for adult or mid teens. So it's really important to understand what the perception is, what's the narrative, how are you being brought up in rooms that you're not in? Because if that is a look into what's being said in rooms that you're not in, then that's information that you need to know. I think it's important when people start looking to outsource and they say, okay, well, I have a budget, start asking the right questions. Because if you speak to someone and they say they do SEO and you say, okay, well, great, tell me about your work with Google Search Console. And they just glaze over like they don't understand why you would even ask that question. And they say they don't have anything to do with that. Then that's someone that's going to be able to take one approach to be able to get you the answers. But if you know those are specific things that you want to know, then you want to work with someone that can actually look through that lens the way that you do. I personally am going to say that those are questions that I want to be able to know because if I'm going to pay to get access to an audience, I want to make sure that that audience is coming to me and I can have the conversation I want to have. But I more so want to make sure that all the efforts that I'm making, posting content, blog articles, anything that I put out, I want to make sure that that narrative is aligned with what I expect it to
Yes.
be. Because if it's not, then I'm doing a lot of work to do nothing. And I think a lot of people are saying, well, I do a lot. And there's so many people out there that are putting things out there. There aren't enough people that are looking at what their perception is through Google and through these search engines.